Hello and welcome to our safety meeting. Today we're going to talk about ways we can help slow office sickness, stop office sickness, and better infection control cleaning methods that we can use all the time, but especially during these months we're going into known as flu season, when there's going to be a rise in sickness and a rise in sick people in the workplaces that we will be going into to clean. Sniffles, coughs, scratchy throats, and even the flu can pop up any time of year. And by practicing infection control cleaning, we can help reduce and prevent office sickness. While you may clean offices on a daily basis, implementing infection control cleaning takes things a step further by focusing specifically on those areas where illnesses like the flu, common cold, and strep throat are easily spread. Taking these extra precautions helps ensure a healthy and happy workforce. And it's essential for us all to be on board and on the same page about such practices. So the most common illnesses experienced in offices and in places where a lot of people congregate and work are not super serious ones. There are ones like common cold or rhinovirus, but because it weakens the immune system and has no cure, the common cold gives way to other illnesses like influenza, bronchitis, and strep throat, most of which are contagious for up to a week. Strep throat's contagious for up to 21 days. Other illnesses that pop up frequently in offices are stomach flu, pink eye, and other respiratory infections. Most of these infections are caused by viruses, which can't be cured and must run their courses. And while there are treatments available for both bacterial and viral infections, the best thing to do is to put infection control cleaning in place to prevent and minimize the number of illnesses present. Offices and buildings where a lot of people gather to work are full of germs, but some of them lurk in places you might not expect. So we all know that bathrooms are germy, bathrooms are dirty, but an office desk may be up to 400 times more contaminated with infectious germs than a restroom toilet seat. I mean, think about it. How many times an office desk is touched? How many people touch an office desk? What other things were touched before the office desk was touched? I know everybody doesn't wash their hands after using the restroom facilities, but many people do. But then they go on and touch other things, and then they go sit back at their desk area and work again. And these places that are touched a lot are defined as high-touch areas. And those places you're going to find a higher concentration of germs, and those are places that we want to focus on specifically for cleaning more thoroughly, for disinfecting. So, where is the battleground, and how best can we fight it? Public bathrooms are definitely a place needed for infection control cleaning. One study found that within an hour of use, public restroom surfaces accumulated 500,000 bacterial cells per square inch, with many germs living for 24 hours or more. That's a lot of germs collecting just in one single day. In some of the facilities we don't clean every day. We clean every couple days or even weekly. So it's going to be that much worse when we do it. You have to be that much more careful to do a thorough cleaning job when we don't get to do it every day. Other places that are high risk for infectious germs in the office are the kitchen break room. So of course the break room, everyone's going to go there and hang out and have their lunch and talk, and there's going to be a higher concentration of germs. There's going to be a lot of high-touch surfaces in the break room. The sink, the tables, the water cooler, the coffee pot, the refrigerator handle, the microwave handle, the handrails leading to the break room. These are all areas that are going to be touched multiple times a day by multiple different people. So what can we do to protect our clients from these germs? What kind of infection control cleaning can we implement? Here are a couple ideas. So this one we really don't have any control over. We can't tell people to stay home when we are an agency coming in and cleaning after other people. But we know there are going to be sick people and sick employees coming into work and working around there, so that I think will help us be more mindful that we need to clean as if we are in a facility where there are sick people, because we know there will be. Research suggests that 39% of employees go to work sick. So ideally, sick employees should stay home, but we know in the real world that's just not going to happen, especially when a lot of people are frequently sick. So what can we do? We can clean and disinfect surfaces daily. One of the most effective infection control cleaning methods is to disinfect commonly handled surfaces, but only if done correctly. So there's an incorrect way to disinfect, and there's a correct way, and it does take some know-how to know how to actually disinfect properly. Clean surfaces such as desktops, keyboards, phone receivers, doorknobs, and counters with an all-purpose cleaner first. Then wipe down with a disinfectant spray. So you cannot disinfect a dirty surface, for one. We have some disinfectants that are also cleaners, but if you look on the back, there is a dwell time, and you're supposed to soak the surface and then allow the product to sit on the surface for a certain amount of time. For the Lysol spray, it's to disinfect. You're supposed to soak the surface and then allow it to sit for 2 minutes, which works great for like a break room table or like maybe the refrigerator door handle or something, but not so great for the computer keyboards and the phone receivers and the doorknobs. So that's why they recommend wiping down afterwards with the disinfectant spray. Disinfectant should be ideally left on the surface for 30 to 60 seconds to be fully effective. So you would disinfect after you cleaned. Most all-purpose cleaners don't disinfect. So check your product, make sure the product you're using is a disinfectant, and you're also following the guidelines on the back of the bottle. Bleach, the Clorox cleaning spray we use, has a dwell time of 30 seconds. So you spray that on for 30 seconds, let it sit. But also, you're supposed to, if the surface is very soiled and very dirty, you're supposed to clean it before you even disinfect it. So these are all things that we need to be mindful of and aware of. So if you're just using an all-purpose cleaner that doesn't disinfect, you're leaving most of the germs behind. Wear personal protective equipment and remember to wash your hands. So this is a protection for us, mostly, but it also helps us not to contaminate, not to cross-contaminate. Here I want to say something about gloves, because I've been kind of thinking about them lately, like how do you properly use gloves? I believe we all know how to take them off safely without contaminating ourselves. But how often should you change them? Should you use different types of gloves for different areas? Things like that, because we don't want to be cross-contaminating our clients' buildings. Like, we could go in there and do the best job we can and do a thorough job while wearing soiled, dirty gloves through the whole thing, and we are basically undoing everything that we were doing because we're spreading contamination. So here are some suggested protocols for using gloves. Put your gloves on before performing cleaning tasks. Use gloves that are appropriate for the task being performed. So I know a lot of people use surgical gloves and then a bathroom glove for cleaning the bathroom areas, which I think is a good safe practice. When the gloves become visibly soiled, torn, or punctured, they need to be changed. After cleaning areas with high concentrations of germs, such as restrooms and kitchens, they need to be changed. So at that point, if you're using like the bathroom glove, you would sanitize your gloves. You would make sure your gloves are cleaned and ready for the next time you need them. And then when going from building to building or floor to floor, you don't want to clean one building wearing one pair of gloves and then go into another building wearing that same pair of gloves, because if your gloves are contaminated with germs from one building, then you risk taking those germs into the other building and spreading whatever was in the first building. There was actually a study done on a daycare had an outbreak of hand, foot, and mouth, and it was spreading throughout the facility, even though the facility was not all in the same building. And some of the people, like in the administrative building, were getting infected with this illness, and they weren't even in contact with the children. There was no way they could have had direct contact with this illness. So the daycare called in some professionals to examine their techniques and the janitorial cleaning techniques, and some problems they found that could have contributed to the spread of this illness was using the same equipment everywhere. Like, they were using the same mop head for all the buildings, which is not a good idea. And they weren't changing their gloves. And I believe they were also using the same rags. So our gloves can become contaminated. We need to make sure that we take care to change our gloves frequently as needed. If they're visibly soiled, they're damaged, take precautions to protect not only ourselves, but our clients from cross-contamination. And then, so when you go to a different building or a different floor in the building, you should change your gloves. And then avoid contaminating your hands when you remove your gloves. So you take your gloves off in such a way that you don't touch the outside of the glove at any point. You turn your first glove inside out by grabbing the outside of it with your opposite hand, and then you grab your glove that you just took off with the gloved hand and then pull the other glove over the hand that's in your fist without ever touching the gloves. And then after you take your gloves off, wash your hands or use hand sanitizers. And also after your tests are complete, you will wash your hands before you leave, before you go home. Because obviously we don't want to be taking germs home either. So a lot of this is just being aware of what we are doing, being aware of the risks, and being careful, being diligent. Another place that is often overlooked are trash cans. So of course we all know trash cans are dirty, that's where trash goes. But germs love to gather in waste baskets. I mean, people blow their noses, that's where the tissue goes. People spit in the trash can. There's just all kinds of gross stuff in there. So one protocol we can take to help protect our clients is to empty all waste baskets daily and wash them down with disinfectant spray inside and out. When finished, of course, you would wash your hands before tending to the next task to avoid cross-contaminating and spreading the germs around. Another neglected area is dusting. Dust vents, window ledges, and other neglected areas. Many dust particles are actually dead skin cells that can still transmit diseases. So dust is not just dirt. To reduce the risk of infection, dust thoroughly, remembering to tend to countertops, shelves, ledges, heating and cooling vents, and other areas where dust gathers. And then, like I said, choose your weapon wisely. Be aware of the cleaners you're using. Take the time to read the backs of the bottles of each of your cleaners. Make sure the ones you're choosing for disinfecting is actually a disinfectant. I know we use bleach a lot, or not bleach, we use vinegar a lot to clean, but the studies are really unclear on if that's a proper disinfectant. Some studies found that it only kills like 80% of germs. So you'd be wiser choosing one that is actually labeled as a disinfectant and following the guidelines on the back to use it as a disinfectant. And wash your hands often. This is a self-protection as well as a cross-contamination protection because, again, high-touch surfaces, if you're touching high-touch surfaces without gloves and you're touching other things before you've disinfected them or cleaned them, you could be a culprit spreading the germs around. So in review, know your battleground, concentrate on high-touch surfaces. So a thorough cleaning should not add a whole lot of time to your cleaning schedule, to your cleaning routine, especially once it becomes second nature. Like when you go into a building, know the first thing you touch when you go into a building is the doorknob. Therefore, the first thing everyone touches who goes into the building is the doorknob. And it's the same with any doorknob of an office that's being used, and definitely the bathrooms. So be aware of the high-touch surfaces. It's not necessary to go crawling around cleaning where nobody touches and disinfecting where nobody touches. Like the floor. The floor is not a high-touch surface unless you're in a preschool where there are children crawling around on the floor. So concentrate on the high-touch surfaces where a lot of people are touching and a lot of germs are being spread, and clean those thoroughly, and then disinfect as needed. Protect yourself. Wear your PPE. Wear it properly. Pay attention. You don't want to be wearing the same dirty pair of gloves every single day or multiple times a week and not ever cleaning them, not ever disinfecting them, not ever inspecting them for holes. So make sure they're not only efficient for your protection, but that they are not a germ-infested means of transferring germs all over the place you're cleaning. Choose the right tool for your job. Choose the right spray needed or the right cleaner needed for the job that you're doing. Wash hands during cleaning and when you're finished. And then it's also a good practice when you get home after cleaning at the end of your day to change your clothes before you go and hug your children and sit on your couch and just to avoid spreading whatever you brought home with you. That's just something good to do and good to be mindful about. Okay, that's all I have for today. Thank you for your time.